Welcome back to HPL. We saw Purple take a 1-0 lead over SjoW here in our last match of the night with a perfectly timed snipe.
Yes, of all the cards to include in a Hunter deck, I would definitely say Snipe is on the lower end of the spectrum there, but able to utilize it to full effect as he took out a Tinkertown Technician on turn 3 from SjoW, and that snowballed the game completely out of control.
Yeah, it was a huge tempo play from Purple, just perfectly timed, and then you saw him draw really well and just curve out perfectly against SjoW. SjoW's deck didn't really come together after that, and it was just a mop-up duty as well.
Yeah, game 2 is getting underway right now, guys, though. Purple versus SjoW.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what they play here this match. And is Purple? There we go. I was about to say, is Purple finally gonna play Rogue? And there it is.
You know, Purple actually, he's one of the people that believes that Rogue has an advantage in this matchup versus Handlock here, and one of the biggest reasons why is the Blade Flurries. If you can get off a massive Blade Flurry in this matchup, you can completely destroy your opponent's board position that they work the entire game to set up. They leverage their life total to get extra cards in their hand, try to get massive minions on board that typically can't be dealt with on a one-for-one basis, but Blade Flurry can turn all that around.
Yeah, I actually am one of the believers too that if you play really well and know this matchup well, that the Rogue deck is actually in the favorite, because if you have a really well-timed sap in this matchup, it can actually just be backbreaking as well.
A lot of different ways that you can attack this matchup, but it's going to require a little bit better of a hand of this. You can see he actually keeps Azure Drake in this matchup, and this is something that a lot of people do not do in these kinds of scenarios, but this card is so fantastic in this matchup because of the extra leverage it provides. You do need some repetitive minion damage. It picks up an extra card, and it gives you the spell damage.
SjoW's opening hand is pretty decent here too. He's got a Dark Bomb. If anything early comes out of Purple, he'll be able to answer this Piloted Shredder, and he's already got 2 Twilight Drakes in his hand, the prototypical card you want out of all Warlock decks on turn 4.
Yeah, definitely a massive threat to any of these minions that Purple can throw his way, and he does. You know, investing damage into those is very difficult to do because they have such high such high health totals on the back end.
Yeah, and it looks like SjoW's just going to draw some extra cards here, not do anything else on turn 3, but it's going to be interesting if Purple, yeah, he's going to coin out a Piloted Shredder here, and you're going to see SjoW use a Dark Bomb here to take care of it. It's going to be interesting to see what comes out of this Piloted Shredder, because it's going to leave a minion on board, and as we said in the past, that's when Rogue starts to get really dangerous.
Yeah, I actually think he's just going to go with Twilight Drake, though. I mean,
yeah, he'll probably just play
no reason not to just start getting these on board and force your opponent to have to deal with what you have to answer. I mean, there's a potential that he plays Dark Bomb here, but, you know, I have to believe that a 4/9 Twilight Drake is more than enough to really get things rolling, but Purple, he's got the right cards to answer this.
As I said, well-timed saps in this matchup can really give you a ton of tempo and a ton of play. Now, he's doing this because he has a really good turn. He gets the sap, dagger up, and he gets to Azure Drake next turn after getting in 4.
Yeah, playing very quickly, too. He has so many games played with Rogue, and he's so proficient with the strategy. He's very comfortable playing quickly this well. Typically, I wouldn't suggest anyone to be playing this fast, but in a situation like this, you know, he knows exactly what he has to do.
Yeah, and good play from SjoW here. He's got a Sludge Belcher on turn 5 if he wants to do that, and it's a really good check to this Piloted Shredder here, but he's just going to play another giant Twilight Drake. It's hard to pass up the full value Twilight Drake.
Yeah, I mean, if your opponent sapped the first one, you know, not a high likelihood they're going to sap the second one, so able to get the full amount of pressure out of this, and just going to backstab here, getting the 3rd damage out of it, and now he's going to continue to push for pressure.
Yeah, Purple getting in a ton of damage already. He's got SjoW down to 16 already, and he's got, you know, an Eviscerate in his hand and another Azure Drake, so he's got a lot of reach damage, but SjoW's going to have a bunch of giant Twilight Drakes.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to taunt him up if he chooses to play the second one. I mean, 2 4/10 Drakes is nothing to scoff at in this position, and Purple doesn't have anything like a Blade Flurry, and he's very likely, I think, to lose his Azure Drake this turn. So seeing exactly how he approaches this turn in particular, I mean, I believe he's taunting up, but it could be just as easily be an Ironbeak Owl.
Yeah, he's just going to Ironbeak Owl here to not leave behind a minion whenever he finally gets to kill this Piloted Shredder. Now, Purple, you know, he's got a little bit of damage here. It matters how hard he wants to push. He knows that there's a chance of Molten Giants.
He's got 13 points of damage in this position, but it looks like he's going to favor clearing some minions up here. 9, 10, 11. Now he's got 11 points of damage still. He's going to count it up and make sure, but I have to believe he's going to put pressure on the Twilight Drakes.
Yeah, you have to know that something like a Taunt Giver, something like Sunfury Protector, is a possibility from SjoW next turn that can ruin your plans if you try to push in a ton of damage this turn.
Yeah, really counting up to see if sap is something potential that's reasonable here. I like the SI7 agent instead and just continue the pressure rolling. But now it's a matter of whether or not he wants to put SjoW down to 2 life. I mean, playing around Molten Giants is certainly a possibility in this scenario, and that's exactly what he's going to do, a deliberate non-attack.
Yeah, you see this a lot from players who really understand the handlock matchup, when to not attack your opponent. I know it's a weird thing to say, but not giving them free Molten Giants is a very big deal.
Yeah, so Sludge Belcher going to be the play here, going to be able to check both of these minions here, with the Dark Bomb. And make sure to target the right ones. Want to keep that extra health on your Twilight Drake. And now Purple is in a position where he needs something massive to really get this ball rolling again. And Sprint might just be the card to do that.
Yeah, he's gonna have to. I think he's gonna have to burn a card here on his next turn.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing here is that he's just hunting for a Blade Flurry. So the fact that he's able to see 4 cards immediately spells a big point for him. And now SjoW is in a position where Purple's at 30 life, so he doesn't have a ton of pressure to put Purple in a position where he has to do something about it. And Purple is amassing a ton of damage in his hand.
Yeah, Purple is amassing a ton of damage, but SjoW can play a Mountain Giant here and start to put a lot of pressure on Purple over the next turn or two. He's going to taunt up the two minions here, so he can't ever get Sharp Sword oiled out of this game.
Yeah, there's the burn. Earthring Farseer, not an important one. So seeing how he handles this turn, this is a very important one now for Purple. I mean, we've seen him play quickly in his other turns, but I expect this one to be quite a while. You're probably going to go to rope in this turn because he's just got so much in his hand, and he has to play this turn perfectly, or he's very likely to not pick up a win.
Yeah, this turn is going to be very important for Purple. This is the do or die turn. And I don't know if he has enough to get out of this. SjoW has created a gigantic board state here and a ton of pressure with gigantic minions. It's going to be really hard for Purple to get out of this. Yeah, he does have a Blade Flurry, he does have an Eviscerate, so he has a decent bit of damage here, but as you can see in SjoW's hand, he has an Antique Heal Bot. You have to believe that's going to get into play as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, he does have some options here to Blade Flurry this board away, but he takes some damage, a lot of damage in the process. Just going to Loatheb here and look to invest into everything else moving forward, maybe. I mean, he's got to make a decision here very quickly.
Yeah, you have to actually go through all the animations of the cards, so sometimes it takes a little too long, but he's just going to sap this Mountain Giant here.
Yep,
buy himself some time.
Yep, get a Deadly Poison on board. Just like you said, buy himself some time is really the key point here. And look at how every single point of mana is so important in this position. Going to throw out the Deadly Poison now. This does sort of, give SjoW a little bit of tells on maybe what his intent is next turn. And Mountain Giant Loatheb is going to all but shut this game out. Loatheb's such a key card in this matchup.
Yeah, Loatheb is the actual just face of terror in this matchup. It's something you never want to see out of your opponent's deck when you're playing Rogue. It shuts down so many of your options, and you see Purple just has almost nothing that he can do this turn.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to end up Blade Flurry this turn, but it's just too much pressure, I think, from SjoW. But he does have an Antique Heal Bot in his hand, though, so I mean, maybe he can just live this turn.
Yeah, he's going to be able to gain 8 life off this Antique Heal Bot, but SjoW has a bunch coming from behind this as well. He has 2 Molten Giants, an Antique Heal Bot of his own. He has a Dark Bomb. He has a Hellfire. It's going to be really hard for Purple to stay alive over the next 2 turns of this game.
Yeah, certainly think so as well. I mean, once the Loatheb is done, we'll have to see what he picks up, and something like a Tinker Sharp Sword Oil could very easily turn the game around with the size of the Blade Flurry. But really a matter of how much this Loatheb is dictated the way this turn get played. This is not what Purple had prepared for. This is such an important mechanic. Every single time that you see professional players in these games, they'll have ways to dictate how their opponent uses their mana. It's such an important function for them to not be able to be quite as efficient as they would want to be. Dictate them to utilize their mana in defensive ways instead.
Yeah, SjoW's got to feel good about any turn that takes this long out of Purple. Usually means that he's struggling to find a line that can even keep him alive, more or less find one that can win him the game.
Yeah. I was going to go with South Sea Deckhand here too. Clear up just a little bit extra damage. But no further action. 8, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 2, 3. That 24 damage I'm counting from SjoW?
8, 10, 18. Yeah, he's got well over 21. He's got, I think, 24, yeah, as you said. So this game is actually over. SjoW just wants to use the Dark Bomb and the Hellfire.
Yeah, that's going to do it. SjoW's going to put his first win on the board now. That well-timed Loatheb putting more than enough pressure on Purple. Not able to utilize his spells to the full effect. Dies with a handful of spells.
Yeah, that Loatheb was backbreaking. As we said, it's one of the most important cards against what Rogue can do. If you can get a well-timed Loatheb, if you have a little bit of pressure in play, it's always backbreaking for the Rogue player. They can never keep up because their hand is going to be stranded with a bunch of things they can't play.
Yeah, unless they get like an enormous amount of pressure on board, and there's no way for the Warlock player to deal with it there. So once again, the story of that one is really just the Loatheb timing. It's such an important card in this matchup. It made sure that Purple couldn't execute his game plan. A pretty easy victory for SjoW.
Yeah, easy victory for SjoW. We're at 1-1 here. We're through 2 games. Both players have got to win. We're going to see who wins in Game 3, what decks they're going to queue up. You can go to the website, pvplive.net, find out what it is they play, what their histories are, how they play their decks, and how they build them. Anything else you want to know about Hearthstone, guys. So when we come back, we're going to see who wins Game 3 between Purple and SjoW. We'll be right back right after this. You're watching Hearthstone on PvP Live.